Andy just had dinner at his apartment when suddenly his phone rang. For some reason, he felt nervous and tense before answering it. It was his mother, crying as she told Andy the bad news. Bella, his older sister, was at the hospital in critical condition after being involved in a car crash. Andy was in total shock. However, he told her that he would head to the hospital immediately. He quickly grabbed his car keys and rushed to his car. On the way to the hospital, Andy saw his life flash right before his eyes. Just yesterday, he got a call from Bella, but because he was preoccupied with something, he thought he'd call back at a later time. However, he didn't. What was keeping him so busy that he wasn't able to call his sister back? This brought tears to his eyes. The reality was that Andy was a total mess. Nothing was going right, and he was feeling stuck in life. For one thing, he was frustrated because he didn't get the promotion that he was longing for. Not to mention, in recent weeks, he failed to meet the standard that was expected from him at work. As he lacked motivation, he also made no effort to exercise whatsoever. After work, he preferred to sit on his couch and distract himself by watching senseless TV shows or spend too much time on social media. He also resorted to eating junk food, as he usually didn't have the energy to prepare healthy meals. Because of this unhealthy lifestyle, he often lacked energy and wasn't in good shape. This had been going on for a long time, and it seemed like things were getting worse day by day. But this wasn't always the case. He used to have so much zest for life. He was excited about his dreams and goals, and Bella was ever supportive from the start. Just a few years ago, he remembered how he was so happy to have landed his new job, the same job that he was occupying now. He and Bella even went on a weekend trip to celebrate the new chapter in his career. But now, it was as if he'd lost his sense of purpose. He thought about then and now and how different it was. At what point did things start to change? After a few minutes, Andy arrived at the hospital, only to find out that Bella didn't make it. He couldn't believe what had just happened. He was in denial. Not only was Bella the best sister that he could ever have, she was also his best friend. He broke down. At that moment, everything turned pitch black. Andy had a lot of fond memories with Bella. Growing up, Bella and Andy would often race in the field at the back of their old house and share loads of fun and laughter together. Andy knew that Bella would often let him win, even though she was much faster and stronger than him during that time. They both shared the thrill of running, but beyond anyone winning, what mattered the most to them was that they were happy to spend quality time with each other. Bella was a loving sister to Andy. Whether he was happy or feeling blue, she was always at his side. Whenever Andy had problems, Bella was always there to listen and give comfort. She would always inspire him to keep moving forward and not dwell on the hardships. But now, he had lost his sister and best friend rolled into one. How do I get through this pain? How can I possibly move forward from this? Thought Andy. A few days after the funeral, Andy was looking at some old pictures from long ago. He remembered one particular memory of a time when they were racing at the back of their old house. "One day, we'll run a marathon together," Bella told Andy. To that, he agreed. It was at that moment that he decided that he was going to run a marathon for the both of them. Andy also realized that the reason why he was feeling stuck in life was because he got so caught up in the everyday routine, he forgot to focus on the things that mattered to him. Andy made a commitment to himself to strive to become a better person from then on. The next day, he started to practice meditation and prepared a healthy meal, which was something he hadn't done for a long time. Understandably, Andy was still grieving, and he knew that the pain wouldn't go away quickly. He figured that it would just make things worse if he pretended that he was okay, so he allowed himself to go through the pain while finding comfort in the presence of his family as they went through the process together. A month had passed when Andy remembered his plan of joining a marathon. He started to check for upcoming marathons that were scheduled. It was then that he found a charity run that supported an environmental cause that he and his sister cared about. It was perfect because the marathon date was 6 months from that time, giving him enough time to train and prepare himself. Moments later, he registered for the marathon. He was determined and inspired to run the marathon to fulfill that goal he and his sister dreamt about years ago. At work, Andy had a change of perspective. Being an environmental scientist who helped introduce policies to protect the environment, he remembered why he took on the job in the first place. This was something he was passionate and knowledgeable about. As soon as he reminded himself why he got the job in the first place, his motivation to work hard returned. Weeks later, he was doing well, and his boss noticed this, acknowledging him for his excellent performance. Meanwhile, Andy tried to prepare for the marathon that was happening in 6 months' time. Andy had joined runs before, but it was usually just for fun and over much shorter distances. A 42-kilometer run was quite intimidating, since the farthest he had gone for a run was just 15 kilometers. However, this was something that he wanted to achieve and fulfill. In the days ahead, Andy figured that he could schedule a few runs before or after work and longer runs on weekends. To learn more about running a marathon, he watched a documentary and discovered how well-renowned marathon runners would train when they had an upcoming marathon. He learned some valuable things and decided to incorporate it into his regime. For the next days, weeks, and months, he practiced what he learned from marathon runners. More importantly, he reminded himself why this goal mattered to him. As he focused on the reason why he wanted to do the marathon and how he wanted to become a better version of himself, he was motivated to keep on going. Reminding himself about the things and people that mattered to him had not only helped Andy become more productive in his training program, it also helped him optimize productivity in other aspects of his life as well. Andy now practiced early morning meditation, which immensely helped clear his mind from negative thoughts and worries, while helping him become more mindful of his surroundings. He also continued to prepare healthy meals for proper nourishment. Andy was getting better physically and mentally day by day. Last, but definitely not the least, he made sure to spend quality time with his family. Come race day, Andy was feeling confident that he could finish the marathon strong. While Bella wasn't physically there with him, Andy knew that she was there in spirit, inspiring him to keep going. Andy did well in the run and finished the race. He felt amazing, as this was the longest distance that he had ever completed. For Andy, both he and Bella won that day. Finally, they were able to reach their dream of running a marathon. There is no doubt that Andy still misses having Bella around. However, he finds comfort knowing that she'll always be in his heart. He is reminded of the time when they would run at the field at the back of their house while Bella told him to keep going. Years passed and Andy kept on going, keeping himself fit and working hard on things that he wanted to accomplish. He knew that despite the hardships, he could achieve his goals in life if he focused on the why.